Alright guys, what is going on? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome to a new video. I'm at a very special spot. As you can see in the background, I'm not going to show all of my surroundings, but I've been coming here for years to seek refuge, to seek solitude and the insanity. I'm actually at a graveyard right now, and as crazy as it may sound to people, I find graveyards remarkably calming. It's like a little bit of silence in the madness, right? The Matrix, the material world, the modern world, the thousand-headed ass of humanity, as Dr. Phil Valentine likes to call it, is out of control, guys. You got to find some time to unplug and to rest. And that's largely, to a large extent, not completely, why I've been gone from YouTube for so long. You know, I've already expressed this and talked about it in a prior video, so I'm not going to be repetitive. But the world is changing at an ever-accelerating rate, folks. And the world wants you to change with it. You see, the system architects, the agents of this matrix, want you to conform to their way of thinking, their way of behaving. They want you to be domesticated. And that's largely what has happened here in the material realm, folks. People are domesticated creatures living in a false environment. That false environment is the matrix. Why is it a false environment? Well, it's become a false environment, folks, because by living in this crazy pigpen system, as I like to call it, slowly over time, your mind pleomorphs and terraforms to that of the desire, if you will, of the system overlords. Hope that makes sense. And that's why everyone, for the most part, seems similar. Everybody's got the same names in their mouths. Everybody's talking about similar things, etc. That's because culture. It's because of culture, excuse me. And culture is like the operating system for the matrix, right? It's where you pick things up. It's where you learn things. It's where you largely foster your habits, your worldviews. So culture, to quote Terence McKenna, is not your friend. I can't remember exactly what Terence McKenna said, but he, in a nutshell, said that culture is like people standing on top of each other's shoulders trying to one-up one another. So, unfortunately, you guys, this is the new normal, right? The new normal, where we're completely disconnected from our ancient heritage, the magical roots of our ancestors, etc. So, it strongly appears, you guys, that all of Earth's history, the real history of Earth, was deleted. And we've been given this suboptimal, I don't even know how to explain it, you guys. This is a mess. Let me just tell you, this is a fucking mess. And if you knew what our potential was, what we could achieve as a species, you'd know that this is hell. How long have I been telling you that this place is fucking hell? Wars everywhere, starvation, poverty on a mass level. Most of the world is poor, folks. And a small percentage of the philanthropists and the bigwigs and etc., they have the majority of the money, and they're buying up all of the land. And pretty soon, if things don't, change, we're going to be in a 1984 on steroids. And I know it's cute to think that I'm being sensational and, oh, Brandon's, here he goes again, conspiracy theorist. But folks, I haven't been wrong for the most part. I have been about certain things, you bet. We all are. But for the most part, everything I've told you since day one about this mess has been 100% accurate. Some of us have a above the target bird's eye view of what's really going on here because we pay attention, right? We pay attention. And that's one thing that the plebs don't like doing because they like being entertained. What do you think all these movies are for, folks? And these television programs and the movies and all of the drama on the news about celebrities and, oh, look who got a fake ass this week and fake boobs this week and all the other nonsense. They're keeping you on a cyclical loop where they feed you bits of information that keep you anchored in a mental coagulation based on those units of information. Catch my drift? I mean, I don't really think most people really realize how far and to the extent we've actually been changed genetically, mentally, emotionally, and especially spiritually, folks. So we have the ability to raise Kundalini energy, and in doing so, create heaven on earth. But none of this is being talked about, folks. It's insane. So there's a momentum that culture wants you to get anchored to, folks. And one of the things I've been saying for years is that you should really be careful and not get hooked to that. You really should be careful. Watch your thoughts, watch your actions, watch your feelings. Question them, especially. It's kind of like that Tool song 46 and 2. Contemplate what I've been clinging to. We've got to. We've got to question everything. And unfortunately, that's just like the hardest thing to do nowadays. And this is one of the reasons why I continue to suggest that you pick up a copy of Magnum Opus by John Crider. All of his books are great, but in Magnum Opus, he actually walks you through an exercise where he helps you locate your core beliefs. Your core beliefs are the units of information that you use to hone or channel your awareness. It's what, I don't want to sound new agey. I don't want to say it creates your reality, but it largely influences it, right? We've got to question our beliefs, because oftentimes our beliefs are keeping us from being able to really reach the pinnacle of our potential. A lot of us have really negative beliefs because that's what culture does. You get brought into a world where you start questioning your weight, your figure, fitting in with everyone. It's like this mess, right? Where we're all broken, but we're trying to find unity in the brokenness. No, we've got to become whole first. Whole. And that means taking some time away from the disgusting matrix that we live in so that you can start to have a little bit of clarity. That is why I come to places like this, folks. Because although I'm in the matrix still while in this graveyard, there is a massive amount of silence here. And silence is what we all need, because without silence, we don't have stillness. And without stillness, it's very hard to question ourselves, folks. Catch my drift? And here's the biggest issues. The biggest issue, not issues. The biggest issue is ourself. Most of us have mind control without even knowing we have mind control. See how ingenious this all is? And this is all about taking us away from Kundalini energy, folks, which was the operating system of our ancient ancestors. Why do you think they could build these religious edifices and monuments and artifacts and these megalithic structures with 70-ton pillars, etc.? You ever look at the pyramids in Egypt? You know, a lot of the granite and the stones that were used to build the pyramids were taken from a quarry over 500 miles from where they were built. Imagine moving stones that big through the sand, up and down, up and down. I mean, the story, our version of history is even bullshit, you guys. Our version of history is bullshit. I got some people coming up on me. So it really makes you question everything when you really look at things for what they are. Let's keep moving. Someone coming up on us. But when you really start looking at things with your blinders off, you'll start to see that we've been lied to exponentially. And in noticing that we've been lied to, you might want to do a little bit more digging and a little bit more digging. And the more digging that you do, the more you'll realize, or you'll start peeling back more and more layers of the onion till you get to the middle of it, folks. And you know what's at the middle of the onion? And I hate to say this because a lot of people will probably have a problem with this. At the middle of the onion is you being God. You are God, whether you believe it or not. We all have Christ consciousness within us. And this is one of the greatest secrets ever kept from us, that we are what we've been looking for. We just don't know how absolutely divine and magical we actually are, because our software has been changed. And we've been given, as a replacement to Kundalini energy, a suboptimal, narcissistic, bullshit-ass, egotistical mindset. It's called the hive mind, right? The fucking hive mind. And let me tell you, folks, once you peel the onion apart, once you raise Kundalini, once you get that serpentine energy up into the head again and you start to see things for what they are, you will see 100% and undeniably that I've been completely honest with you about this since day one. But it's hard for people to grasp some of the things I talk about how we've been enslaved spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically, because there's no reference point. And that's why we need a reference point, right? most people have never experienced higher states of consciousness like this, so they think that what they're anchored in now is all that there is, right? See how the mind gets the best of you? You've made it up in your head before you even go about seeking the truth that you can't attain it. And this is the beauty of the mind control. So, I don't know what to tell you, folks. I will, however, say that this is a perilous journey walking the razor's edge. I've raised Kundalini on a handful of occasions. It has changed my life completely. I am nothing like my peers. I am nothing like the people in the world around me. I am completely different, and I'm not afraid to say it. I've trod this path for over a decade. It's just one thing after the other, you guys, here at this insanity. Excuse me. Let's take a seat here. Let's take a fucking seat. So, unfortunately, I have some bad news to give you, and that's the fact that if you do succeed in raising this energy, your life will do nothing but get more complicated. Because this is, whether you're currently fucking aware of it or not, Kundalini energy and raising it is the one thing that they don't want happening the most, folks. Because imagine, you know what happens when you raise Kundalini? You become Christ. Imagine that. What do you think Christ consciousness is? It's a human being with Kundalini raised into the head. What do you think Jesus Christ is? Jesus is the body, Christ is the spirit. Jesus Christ is the body anointed with spirit. Spirit, the Holy Ghost, the Holy Spirit is Kundalini energy. Kundalini energy, it's also very feminine, you guys. Kundalini energy is Mary, it's Isis, right? It's Aset. We have this energy within us, and when the Kundalini stirs up at the base of the pelvic floor, the throne of God, and gets into the head, no amount of words can describe this. It's like when the Bible says, folks, I'm sorry for the wind, that in the blink of an eye, everything can change, and that's what happens, folks. You see, what's keeping us from heaven is our own consciousness and the restrictions that have been placed on it, and that we've helped foster and engender ourselves. Catch my drift? So we need yoga. We need to stretch the body out. We need to work out the kinks of the muscle memory, right? We need herbalism. We need valid supplementation. We need Gnosticism. Gnosis is the way out of this. Seeking Gnosis. Imagine that. How long have I been telling you that? To seek Gnosis. Instead of having faith, which is what the mainstream Christian church and Catholic church wants you to do. They just want you to have more faith, right? They want you to have faith until you die. They want you to die with faith instead of being intelligent, using your heart, right? Using your fucking heart and seeking Gnosis. And Gnosis is the foundation of Gnosticism. And I promote widely Gnosticism because it is the most common sense approach to the Christian religion. And although some people will say that Gnosticism is not Christianity, it 100% is. It's the valid form of Christianity that inspires you to actually trod the path instead of just having faith, right? So through Gnosis, which is divine understanding directly from God, through Gnosis, Kundalini, right? Kundalini is the epitome, it's the spearhead of Gnosis. We can actually know the truth, and we can have an actual, real relationship with God, whatever you want to call it. But this is the one thing that they don't want us doing. We have a software within us called Kundalini that tethers us to the angelic spheres, tethers us to the Enochian angels, and in doing that, we have a connection or a bridge to the real, true, hidden and living God. So Gnosticism breeds dangerous people to the system that seeks to breed carbon copy clone idiots. Just sprinkle them all over the earth, give them positions of power and make them judges and police officers. This is insanity. This is absolute insanity. What's going on earth right now? And I've been telling you since day one that this is fucking hell here, folks. Just because you're not experiencing the turmoil currently, even though you are, you're just not aware of it. What do you think's happened to your soul? It's trapped. You're not even aware of it. That's turmoil. You have limitations that have been put on you. That's turmoil. I'm glad you found peace within the emptiness and you think you've got it all figured out, but you don't, fool. I'm sick of this shit. I'm sick of the earth continuing to be turned into this garbage dump of idiots that aren't even capable of thinking. Don't you dare tell me I'm being judgmental and all this other shit. You people have ruined everything. And now you're gonna cry to me and tell me that, oh, Brandon, you're being mean. No, people in their ignorance are the cause of all this shit. And sure, we have nefarious secret societies putting weird shit in the water, tampering with our genetics, manipulating the ionosphere, fucking putting thousands of pounds of barium, aluminum, strontium, mylar fibers, chaff, radioactive isotopes into our atmosphere. Sure, we have an enemy, but that's no excuse. That's no fucking excuse. We're supposed to be more intelligent in times of turmoil. We're supposed to find solutions to this mess. This is a good thing. This promotes evolution, us having an enemy. See what I'm saying? You know, if you follow the Gnostic doctrines, you'll find through your studies eventually that no matter what the demiurge, the true devil, the Wizard of Oz here that's controlling everything, regardless of how hard the demiurge, also known as Yaldabaoth, attempts to keep Christ from unfolding in the material realm, it can't be done. Because Christ, Sophia, they will always find a way around the traps. Catch my drift? So we've got to be more ingenious. We've got to be more optimistic, regardless of the evidence around us that makes it seem like this is the end for humanity, right? I mean, look at how much of the Amazon's been destroyed. Look at how much of the oceans have been destroyed. Look at how much of our resources have been depleted. Look at what's happened to the atmosphere. Catch my drift? So when you really look at things for what they are, you'll start to be a little pessimistic, right? But through trotting the path, through walking the razor's edge, through applying the principles that I talk about, by going into your inner temple, by doing the 4 inner exercises, the magical exercises, by learning to do pentagram rituals, by ingesting the ginseng properly, by getting the shilajit back into your system, by hydrating your cells, etc. with magnesium, and all the other things that we talk about, getting some good green juice back into your system, taking some time away from the madness, the pig pen, so you can regenerate. Through all this, folks, we start to create positive forward momentum in a backwards world that's trying to keep you in stasis. And through the traction that happens and through your own development, you will start rising hierarchically in your degree of strength and power. And you'll see, folks, once you have built yourself up enough, you'll see that there's really nothing to be afraid of. That we live in a world of illusions that have been cast by what I like to call the phantoms behind the curtain, the Wizard of Oz, right? There is a group here that is creating a false version of reality, and it's wanting us to abide by it and or create our lives based on that bullshit. So the sad truth is this, folks. Most people are not going to ever achieve Kundalini because most people are too deep in the quagmire. They're too deep in the quicksand. It's kind of like in the Matrix, the first Matrix film, when Neo's on the Nebuchadnezzar and Morpheus says to him, we never try to awaken a mind once it's reached a certain age. There's too much investment in old beliefs. It's dangerous. This is what's going on right now here on Earth. Most people have invested too much time, effort, and bullshit into the bullshit. And when you do that, it makes it really hard to take your feet out of the bullshit. So, seek gnosis. Seek shamanism. There are so many ways to alter your mind out of its vice grip position, folks. What are you waiting for? What are you afraid of? And yeah, I just said shamanism. What do you think that means? There's certain things I can't say here about ingestion of certain compounds, but there are tools, there are solutions, folks. But you've got to go out and find them. That is the beauty of the Gnostic path. There are multiple streams leading to the same source. You can trod your own unique path raise the light of God, raise the Kundalini Christ consciousness into the head, and you can see the world for what it actually is. And you can feel and know what you are. What do I mean by that? Most of us don't know what we are. We are God. And I know that's the hardest thing for people to understand, but what the fuck do you think happens when the Kundalini gets into your head and the king and the queen's chamber turns on and all the melanin starts spilling into your brain? The cave of Brahma. What do you think happens when the dark light consciousness awakens and you become one with Shiva, Horus? What the fuck do you think happens? You think you become this little groveling fool? Oh, Horus. No, you become that. Because that is what Kundalini is. It is the secret of all mystery traditions and all things occult. So you might want to start doing the yoga. You might want to start doing the 4 inner exercises and hydrating your cells with the magnesium, the cell salts, etc. We've gone over this a million times. This is a pig pen mess, and I will never change my view on that. It is through my understanding of the filth that I am in, this material realm garbage, that I find, how would I say this? I develop peace and happiness through resisting this bullshit. What do you think this is? You just came here to integrate with this? I want nothing to do with that. That sounds like some white or yellow school of Buddhism bullshit. I'm following the black school of Buddhism. I don't want to integrate into this madness. I don't want to be reabsorbed by some weird godhead that's controlling things here and keeping us as slaves. No. I want to regain my power and throw a spear through his side. Peace be with you.
I can't help but ask myself daily, what the fuck is actually going on here? I have witnessed so many radical changes to this world in the 32 years that I have been here, most of them sadly drenched in evil. The enemy is busy building its empire, a dystopia built upon the ashes of a free world forgotten. AI, surveilled, digitized, genocide, scorched earth, hive mind, drone. We are being led by demons, masquerading as our saviors. An iniquitous oligarchy composed largely, but not entirely, of an elite class of psychopathic technocrats, eugenicists, behavioral psychologists, etc. Operating entirely through subterfuge, this consortium of evil has created a most genius veil of camouflage, enabling them to quite literally pose as a knight in shining armor coalition of humanity's saviors, promising to liberate the masses from the very afflictions that this inner circle of evil gave birth to. Ephesians 6:12, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.